In the year 48 CE, the most powerful woman in Rome vanished from history. She wasn't defeated in battle. She wasn't sent into exile. No, she was buried alive beneath a mountain of whispers. Her name was Messalina, the third wife of the Emperor Claudius. Ancient texts paint a lurid picture, calling her sexually insatiable. They weave tales of her prowling the dark streets of Rome at night, disguised as a common prostitute. But let's ask a critical question. What if every single one of those scandals was a product of her desires, but a carefully crafted weapon, forged by the powerful men who feared her influence and ambition? Tonight, we're going to strip away 2,000 years of slander, peel back the layers of propaganda, and reveal the truth behind Rome's most slandered empress. By the year 41 CE, a seismic shift occurred in Roman politics. The unlikely Claudius, once considered a bumbling fool by the imperial family, was declared emperor. And by his side, Messalina became empress. At just 16 years old, she was suddenly at the epicenter of power. She wasn't just a figurehead. She controlled access to the throne itself. Ambitious senators, men who once commanded legions, now begged for her favor. She hosted lavish, decadent banquets that stretched into the early morning hours, where the finest wine flowed as freely as the Tiber River. But it's here, amidst the opulence and political intrigue, that the stories take a dark and twisted turn. The historian Tacitus, writing decades after her death, claimed that she would slip out of the palace at night. He wrote that she would hide her golden hair under a dark hood and work in a notorious brothel under the alias Lysiska, the she-wolf. The satirist Juvenal added even more fuel to the fire, alleging she competed with professional prostitutes to see who could service the most men in a single night. He claimed she would only return to the palace at dawn, tired but not yet satisfied, still burning with desire. These are the stories that have defined her for centuries. But let's pause and look closer. What happened next, after her death, changed everything about how she was perceived. The most scandalous accounts, the ones that have been repeated for millennia, were all written decades after her death. They were penned by authors from the senatorial class, the very men whose power she had challenged. There isn't a single contemporary source, not one diary, not one letter, not one piece of graffiti from her time, that mentions her working in a brothel. There were only rumors. And in ancient Rome, rumors spread like wildfire, and they were just as destructive. So if she wasn't a sex-crazed monster, what was she? Messalina's real weapon wasn't her body, it was her womb. She did what Claudius's previous wives had failed to do. She gave him 2 legitimate children, 2 blood heirs to the imperial throne, a daughter named Octavia, and a son, Britannicus. Their existence secured Claudius's dynasty, but this made Messalina a target. Rome's elite, particularly the ambitious Agrippina the Younger, Nero's mother, had their own plans for the succession. Agrippina was a direct descendant of Augustus, a rival with a powerful claim. Sensing the threat, Messalina struck first, and she was ruthless. She began a systematic purge of her political enemies. She accused powerful senators of treason, had them swiftly executed, and seized their vast estates for the imperial treasury. The writer Pliny the Elder scathingly wrote that under her influence she sold citizenships like bread. Was she a greedy monster, drunk on power? Or was she a queen, playing the only brutal game that ancient Rome allowed women to play, using the tools available to her to protect her children and her position? Then, in the autumn of 48 CE, Messalina made a move that was either an act of breathtaking arrogance or a desperate political gamble. While her husband, the Emperor Claudius, was away in the port city of Ostia overseeing the grain supply, she did something unforgivable. She publicly married her lover, the handsome and popular senator Gaius Silius, in a full, formal Roman wedding ceremony. The event reportedly took place in the emperor's own gardens, with guests in attendance, toasting the new couple. Historians have debated this incredible event for centuries. Was it simply an act of reckless passion? Unlikely. The more plausible explanation is that this was not about lust, it was a coup d'état. Silius was young, noble, and well-regarded. The plan, it seems, was for him to adopt Messalina's son, Britannicus, and then, together, they would depose the aging and increasingly unpopular Claudius. But the plot had a fatal flaw. A trusted freedman in the imperial court, a man named Narcissus, betrayed her. He raced to Ostia and laid the entire conspiracy bare before the emperor. At first, Claudius hesitated. He was reportedly still in love with her, unable to believe the betrayal. But Narcissus, fearing for his own life if Messalina succeeded, knew he had to act fast. He took control of the situation, bypassed the emperor's indecision, and ordered the Praetorian Guard into action. Messalina was captured and taken to the beautiful gardens of Lucullus, a paradise she had coveted and acquired. It was there, amidst the beauty she had fought to possess, that her life was ended by a soldier's sword. She was just 28 years old. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Her body was mutilated. Her name was chiseled off public monuments in an official act of damnatio memoriae, a condemnation of memory. Her son Britannicus was sidelined, his path to the throne blocked forever. And within a year, the rival who had been waiting in the wings, Agrippina, married her uncle Claudius. Her son Nero was adopted and became the heir. The victors now held the pen: Tacitus, Suetonius, Juvenal. All the famous sources that paint Messalina as a depraved nymphomaniac wrote their histories long after her death, during or after the reign of her enemy's son, Nero. They had every reason to justify her murder and legitimize the new regime. By painting her as a moral monster, they made her execution seem like a righteous act, not a political assassination. Modern historians, like Barbara Levick, argue persuasively that Messalina was a victim of character assassination. Her real crime wasn't promiscuity. Her real crime was wanting power, wielding it effectively, and being a woman in a world that ferociously denied it to her. Messalina didn't die in a brothel. She died in a garden she designed, surrounded by beauty, but ultimately betrayed by ambition, both her own and that of others. Her story is a powerful and chilling warning that history is almost always written by the victors. And sometimes, the most dangerous woman isn't the one who breaks moral codes, but the one who dares to want more. Thank you for joining us on this journey back to ancient Rome. If the real story of Messalina has opened your eyes, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden figures of history. We'll see you next time.